I, E, E, A, O, U. What do you think of my phonological inventory? Something off about it? No, I found a way to make it less comical. And so that's what we're going to talk about now. That's a bit of rambling, but we're going to talk about it, and it's going to be great. Okay, now we have vowels. We know about all these different vowel qualities. What do we do with them? And so if you're, again, in the future, if you're joining us from YouTube, just for this segment, welcome. We do a lot of Conlang stuff on this channel, so if you like it, please consider subscribing. We have some, let me just talk to you here with all that distraction. So one of the things that we do as Conlangers is try and come up with phonologies. Often the first step that you'll see when someone posts a Conlang online is, what do you think of my phonological inventory? And they'll post a vowel chart and a consonant chart. And, truthfully, this isn't a lot to go on. So people often ask for more, okay, tell me about the inspiration, tell me about the grammatical structure. But to be honest, the phonological inventory does actually control a lot of the feel of the language. And if the phonological inventory is not naturalistic, then, well, either you're doing that for a reason, you want to make a non-naturalistic Conlang, or it's going to end up, there's going to end up being some sort of something off about it if you're going for that naturalistic look. And so if we want to understand how to make a Conlang naturalistic, we need to understand the patterns that exist in nature. And so to do that, we look at the distribution of phonological inventories in the world, and it turns out there are lots of patterns that hold over these inventories in the world. And so that's what we're going to talk about now. That's a bit of rambling, but we're going to talk about it, and it's going to be great. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't seen the bit about the vowel space and about height and backness and rounding, go watch that now. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that you know all about all of that, and we're just going to start playing with it. So let's open up a new file. You get to watch me figure out how to resize Windows. Isn't this thrilling television? Okay. So let's take us back over to here. Nope, that's the right one. There we go. Align your windows. Okay, so we're talking about vowel inventories here. What's a naturalistic vowel inventory? So let's make our little fun quadrilateral. So we've got our front vowels towards the front. We've got our back vowels towards the back. We've got our high vowels up top. And we've got our low vowels. Low, there we go. Our low vowels here. Okay, so we have this nice vowel space here. If you were to ask yourself, what is the most common vowel inventory for a language to have? What would you guess it would be? If you were to look across a big database of languages from all over the world and figure out what size would that inventory be? What do you think the most common size is? I know there's a bit of a lag with the chat, so I'll ramble a little bit while you think. So is it large? Is it something with 20, 30 vowels? Is it very small? Is it something with say 3 vowels? Look, we have I, U, A, so this 3 vowel system. I, U, A, so this is a 3 vowel system. We also have a vote in here for I, E, A, O, U, the 5 vowel system. So both of these are very common, but the one that has the edge is the 5 vowel system. And so this is the kind of the Spanish system, if you want to think of it tied to a particular language. So we have 5 vowels here. We have I, E, A, O, U. And if you have a discerning ear, you will recognize that those vowels, many of them don't sound particularly English. English does not have an A vowel, at least the variety of English that I speak, does not have this monophthongal A vowel where we don't turn it into a diphthong and go A, or O. Some varieties, of course, do, but mine does not. But in these 5 vowel systems, you will see E, A, O, U, and sometimes schwa. Yes, and sometimes schwa does come in. So this is actually the very most common system. And so if you're conlanging and if you're sort of out of ideas, you want something to just sort of get started with, you could do much worse than E, A, O, U. You also have all the keys on your keyboard to type them easily, so you're not going to have any trouble. It's this is the system that that Latin had, and this is why it's so easy for us to type it, because we're using their alphabet. English has, well, many different varieties of English have different vowel systems. This is one of the ways in which English varieties differ most strongly from each other. But the English vowel system in my variety of English is a great deal more complicated, and some other varieties it's even more complicated than that. And we have so many sounds that we don't have letters to write them all, so we end up doing things like, writing them with OW or EA and all manner of IE. EA and IE, things like this. But if you are in if you're in the 5 vowel club, you don't have this problem when you're coming up with a romanization. This eraser is pretty low powered. All right. Right. So that's a good place to start, the 5 vowel system. If you want to go lower, you can do what Luke suggested, or what Luke guessed is a common system, and it absolutely is. E, A, U. So this is a 3 vowel system. And one thing that's kind of interesting to notice about these systems is, have you noticed how the vowels are sort of equidistant in a way? You can really notice it here. You have this E high front, you have this A, which is low central or maybe low front, and you have this high back rounded vowel U. And these are sort of, they're running away from each other in the vowel space. They don't want anything to do with each other, it seems. And so that's an important principle when it comes to vowel spaces, is this sort of maximization of contrast, which you do see occur. Now, it's obviously not the only thing in the world, because we have languages like English where you distinguish E from I, from A, from E, from A, so you have all sorts of fine-grained distinctions, but as a tendency, you do see these vowels sort of fleeing from each other if you look across the languages of the world. And so that's why this is another common vowel system. Heavens to Murgatroyd. Oh no, that's not ready for you. That's for later. Apologies. I need to get the other page of my notes up. What's happening to me? This is not how I imagine my life would be. Okay, so we have these 3 and these 5 vowel systems. So 3 is kind of the lower end. The vast majority of languages in the databases that at least I've looked at contrast 3 vowels. Most common is 5. If we're in the sort of the meaty part of the bell curve, we also can go up to 9. So it's also relatively common to have a vowel system that contrasts 9 qualities. So in that case, we'd have something like, let's go back up to 5. And what we notice is we go up to 5, we add a few, we go up to 9, we keep the ones we have, and we just keep adding more. So we have something like this. So this is the vowel system of the language Lika, which is a Bantu language. And we contrast I, E, E, A, O, U, U. Okay, so this is larger, but still quite symmetrical, and still sort of maintaining everything in its space around the edges of the vowel space. So that's kind of interesting. So if you are sort of a beginner conlanger and you want to sort of stay within the realm of naturalism and simultaneously keep things sort of easy for yourself, what you can do is you can sort of think of your vowel space as a dial that goes from 3 to 9. If you have 3, E, A, U, E, A, U. If you have 5, E, A, A, O, U. And if you have 9, something like this. And then if you want to do something in between, you can do a 7 vowel system. Maybe I'm going to just take my comically small eraser and maybe you have something like this. And this is a 7 vowel system that you'll see. And so these are all very naturalistic and they're brilliant. So go with any of them if you're getting started and you want something sort of easy to get you going. That said, sometimes you want to do other things. You don't want to just have symmetrical systems. By the way, when I'm talking about symmetrical systems, let's look at this. So let's bring back our friends here. And let's just put an imaginary line. Imagine it goes right through that A. Something like that. And 4 on the front, 4 on the back, and this one in the middle. It's kind of like balancing them. So this is a symmetrical inventory because there's an equal number of vowels in the front as in the back. This is pretty common. This also comes along with this quality of sort of dispersion that we see in vowel inventories. We see the vowel phonemes or the contrastive vowels spreading themselves out in the vowel space. Another one is this principle of symmetry, where we sort of see the same thing going on in the front and the back. The only time where we don't see this symmetry is in the middle. Is in the very low vowels, in which case we often just have one. So we have this A vowel which stands alone. If, and it's an if. Not every language does this, but if you don't want a symmetrical system, that's an option. But the ways in which languages tend to be asymmetrical is something where there are patterns. One pattern is that if a system is asymmetrical, it will have more contrasts in the front than in the back, by and large. That's the tendency. And so it's often common to have an extra unpaired front vowel. And so one analysis that I've seen of Ukrainian looks like world's smallest eraser. Looks like this. And so we have this imbalance. From a certain perspective, we have more front vowels than we have back vowels. And this is something that's relatively common. So this is a 6 vowel system in which you have more contrast in the front than in the back. Finding the unmute button is always an adventure. Okay, so we've talked about the overall size of an inventory. Common to have a size in the 3 to 9 range. We've talked about symmetry and dispersion, and we've talked about asymmetry and the preference for more contrast in the front than the back. One thing I'd also like to draw your attention to, if we go a little bit back in time, see if my undo. Yeah, okay. So if we go back in time and look at this 9 vowel system, there's something kind of striking about it, which is that the vowels are, they are sort of evenly dispersed in the space on the sort of top to bottom axis, on the height axis, but they're all crowding sort of at the very front of the mouth or at the very back of the mouth. I, E, O, U, U. So, I, E, O, U. Nothing going on in the middle, except for this A. which is sort of standing alone as it tends to do. This gets back to I'm here for good times comment, sometimes schwa. What you will sometimes see is that when a language starts to go beyond these sort of symmetrical systems, what they'll do is they'll actually keep the symmetry by adding central vowels, more central vowels in addition to a. So let's look at let's get out this very, very comically small eraser. No, I found a way to make it less comical. There we go. That's me understanding technology here. I am understanding technology live. That's what this channel is all about. Okay, so then we have a 5-vowel system for this analysis of Malay, but we have 6 vowels actually. We have a central vowel, schwa. And so now we still have a symmetrical system, but we've actually filled out the middle of this vowel space. And so what happens is as the number of vowels in a system increases, the chances that they'll start to be non-peripheral vowels, so vowels that aren't sort of clustered along the very front or the very back, starts to go up. And so these non-peripheral vowels, they tend to be things like schwa or barred I, the high central vowel. You know, you might have this. I'll put it inside the vowel space there. So this is one type of non-peripheral vowel. Another type of non-peripheral vowel would be the kind of the non-default member of the rounding pair. So you may know that any vowel, whether it's high, low, front, or back, can be either rounded or unrounded. But that there are tendencies, and if you don't know this, go watch the other video that I have in this whole setup about vowel spaces. What you'll find that back vowels, with the exception of the low vowel, tend to be rounded. So we have o, u, right? O, u. Front vowels, actually everything but these non-low back vowels, tend to be unrounded, sort of by default. You can think of it that way. But they also all have an equivalent, a partner that is, for the back vowels, unrounded. So instead of u, you have instead of o, you have o. For the front vowels, their partner would be the rounded vowel, e, e, e. So we have these sort of the non-default member of the rounding pair, and these are also considered non-peripheral vowels. And so the the reason that we consider them non-peripheral vowels, it's a topic for another day. It goes into acoustics and too much for one video. But suffice it to say that these non-default members of the rounding pairs can show up as well as we start to increase the number of vowels in the inventory. So let's look at a language like Finnish. And I'm going to have to erase some things in order to do this. Okay. So Finnish actually has an even more, in some ways, an even more symmetrical inventory than the 5-vowel inventories. Finnish has a 6-vowel inventory, where we have a low front vowel and a low back vowel. Now, if we're going strictly speaking by the cardinal vowel system, this should be notated like this and but you will often see, for historical reasons, including in English, the low front vowel is spelled, even if there's only one low front vowel, it'll be spelled with this AE ligature. It's for historical reasons, as we're used to doing it for English. Technically, you should do this, write this, just the A character, but nevertheless, I digress. So we have we have this system for Finnish. So we have 3 in the front, 3 in the back, but we also have rounded members of the front high and mid vowels. And so this is another kind of way of increasing your vowel qualities in an inventory by introducing these rounded pairs, the non-default member of the rounding pairs. And so these tend only to occur when there is there's already the default, the so-called default member. So you tend to get E only when there's already E in the system. You don't tend to just have E on its own, the rounded version. Okay, so that's true of the front, and let's talk about the back. So this also kind of works the same way. Let's use the no longer comically small eraser, and let's look at the inventory for Lao. And so that's going to end up looking something like this. So we have E, E, A, O, O, U. And then we have some back unrounded vowels. So let's just write them here. O. This is a cool symbol. And so here we've augmented the vowel space by using these non-default rounding pairs, but in the back. And the tendency is true here too, that you only get unrounded back vowels when you already have rounded back vowels in the inventory. Although this is not exceptionless. I think probably the best counterexample is Japanese. You know, these are ways, these are all sort of naturalistic vowel inventories. And the principles at work here, you can apply in a Conlang with relative ease. You can go beyond these. You can go past 9 vowels. You can start, you know, you can go into Germanic languages are sort of famous for having very, very high vowel inventories. Or you can go quite low as well. So if you want to stay in the realm of naturalism, take inspiration from the natural world, and here are some of these principles that the natural world, and or rather the very small section of the natural world that governs vowel inventories. These are the principles that it tends to be governed by.